Waterfall
5:47
Trail?
in the
That's the
evening.
last letter?
Tuesday,
Yes, it means
February
trust
2nd.
no one. We have to go.
Riverside
I'm with
Truck
you.
Plaza,
Good, let's move.
Clarksville, Tennessee. The window was clean, perfect for lip reading. Riley Mackenzie Hayes pressed her face close to the glass. 14 years old, deaf since birth, orphaned for 18 months, invisible for longer than that. Her breath fogged the surface. She wiped it away with her sleeve. The gray hoodie hung 3 sizes too big on her thin frame. Hand-me-down from a foster home 3 placements ago. The kind of clothing that marked you. Foster kid, a charity case. Nobody. But being nobody had advantages. Nobody watches the watchers. 40 feet away inside the truck stop diner, 2 men sat in a corner booth. Riley's eyes locked on their faces, on their lips, reading words the way other people read books. The first man was nervous, late 40s, leather jacket worn at the elbows, hands that wouldn't stay still, fingers drumming the table, knee bouncing. The body language of a man who'd gotten himself into something deeper than he could handle. The second man was calm, 38, maybe 40, cold eyes that barely blinked. The kind of calm that didn't come naturally. The kind you earn through repetition, through doing terrible things so many times they stopped registering as terrible at all. Riley had learned to read more than lips. She'd learned to read people. And these 2 men were planning something bad. The nervous man spoke first. His mouth formed words Riley had spent 14 years learning to decode. "You sure about the timeline?" The calm man leaned back against the vinyl booth. His lips moved with precision. No wasted motion. "Yeah, she's at softball practice until 7:30. Dad picks her up every Tuesday. Same time, same field." Riley's hand found her notebook. Spiral bound, fire damaged at the edges. The last thing her mother had given her before the world ended. 18 months ago. The house on Maple Street. The electrical fire that started at 2 in the morning. Riley's father running back in to save the elderly neighbors. Riley's mother following him, both of them dying in the smoke and flames while Riley waited on the lawn with the people they'd saved. The notebook had survived the fire. Barely, brown scorch marks on the cover, pages brittle at the edges, but the inscription on the inside cover remained readable. "Write everything, Riley. Evidence matters." Linda Hayes had been a court interpreter, American Sign Language specialist. She'd taught Riley that the world ran on evidence, on documentation, on proof that could be verified and cross-examined and entered into the record. "People like us," her mother had signed, "the world doesn't hear us, so we have to make them see." Riley pulled a pen from her pocket, started writing. The nervous man's lips kept moving. "And he'll be alone." The calm man nodded. "Ghost always goes alone. Rest of the MC doesn't hover during kids' stuff. That's our window. MC Motorcycle Club." Riley wrote it down, her handwriting shaky from cold, from adrenaline, from the growing understanding of what she was witnessing. The nervous man pulled out his phone, turned the screen toward his companion. Riley couldn't see the photo from her angle, but she saw the words his lips form next. "Emma Sullivan, goes by M, 11 years old." Riley's chest tightened. A child. They were planning something with a child. The nervous man continued. "Blonde braids, softball team jacket, number 12, yeah." Riley wrote faster, every detail, every word. The calm man leaned forward, elbows on the table. His lips formed words slowly, deliberately. "Ghost daughter, only kid, wife's been gone 3 years. It's just him raising her." Ghost. That name again. The father was called Ghost, member of a motorcycle club, raising a daughter alone. The nervous man's voice must have wavered. Riley could tell by the way his face tensed. "How much?" The calm man's answer came without hesitation. "Contacts offering 500,000, half up front." Riley's pen stopped. $500,000. The calm man wasn't finished. "But here's the thing. The contact doesn't care if we collect ransom. In fact, he wants us to." The nervous man leaned in. Riley could see the confusion on his face even from 40 feet away. The calm man explained, "We take her tonight, 2 a.m. Route 40 rest stop, when she and Ghost stop for gas after practice. He always stops there. We text him the ransom demand. Say 250. He pays because he's desperate. Then we move her anyway. Contact receives the girl. We keep the ransom plus the 500 from the transfer. 750 total. $750,000. Riley's hand trembled so hard she could barely write. They weren't just planning to take this girl. They were planning to ransom her and then sell her anyway. Take the father's money and still deliver the child to someone else. Someone who wanted to buy an 11-year-old girl. The calm man kept talking. And Ghost, the nervous man's lips formed a question Riley could barely process. What if he comes after us? A shrug from the calm one. Doesn't matter. By the time he realizes she's not coming back, we're across state lines. She'll be in concealed transport, headed to international contacts by Thursday morning. He'll never find her. International contacts. Thursday morning. Concealed transport. The words burned themselves into Riley's brain. This wasn't a ransom plot. This was trafficking. Human trafficking. Of a child. And these men were talking about it like a business deal. Like logistics. Like moving inventory. Riley's heartbeat pounded in her chest, not sound. She couldn't hear anything. But feeling. The bass drum of her own terror vibrating through her ribcage. Through her throat. Through her skull. Her hands were freezing. February in Tennessee, the cold seeped through the thin hoodie, through her worn jeans, through the holes in her secondhand sneakers. But the cold outside was nothing compared to the ice forming in her chest. 18 hours, that's all the time there was. 2 a.m. minus 5:47 p.m., 18 hours and 13 minutes to stop two men from taking an 11-year-old girl. To stop them from ransoming her, from transporting her across state lines, from selling her to international buyers, from making her disappear forever. And Riley Mackenzie Hayes, rejected by the world 1,247 times in 18 months, was the only person who knew. She looked down at her notebook, at the evidence written in shaking handwriting. Emma Sullivan, 11 years old, blonde braids, softball jacket number 12, Ghost's daughter, MC, Route 40, rest stop, 2 a.m. ransom, $250,000. Then move her anyway, international contacts. Thursday morning, concealed transport, $750,000 total. Two men, one nervous leather jacket, one calm cold eyes, evidence. Her mother's voice in her memory, not sound. Riley didn't remember sound, but the feeling, the shape of her mother's lips in firelight, teaching her to read them. Evidence matters, baby. Write everything, because the world doesn't listen to people like us. So we have to make them see. People like us. The deaf, the different, the dismissed. Riley had 18 months of evidence that the world didn't see people like her. Foster home after foster home that didn't want a deaf child. Teachers who talked over her head like she wasn't there. Social workers who shuffled her file without reading it. Police officers who waved her away. Church volunteers who prayed for her instead of helping her. 1,247 rejections. Riley kept count in a separate notebook. Documentation, evidence of systematic failure. But tonight wasn't about her evidence. Tonight was about a girl named Emma Sullivan who had blonde braids and wore a softball jacket with the number 12 on the back, who had a father called Ghost who picked her up from practice every Tuesday at 7:30, who was going to be taken at 2 in the morning by men who saw her as merchandise. Unless Riley could make someone see, unless Riley could make someone believe that a deaf 14-year-old foster kid knew something worth listening to. She had 18 hours and 12 minutes, and 4 more rejections to survive first. Riley pulled back from the window. The two men were still talking, still planning, still treating a child's life like a spreadsheet. She turned away. The counter in her mind started ticking down. 18 hours, 11 minutes, and counting. 4:52 in the evening. Riley stood outside the bathroom door. A handwritten sign taped to the metal. Restrooms for paying customers only. She tried to explain, pulled out her notebook. Written in large, clear letters, I just need to use the restroom. Please. The clerk behind the counter hadn't looked up. Randy, according to his grease-stained name tag, 50s. The kind of man who'd worked the same job so long he'd stopped seeing the people who came through. Just transactions, just numbers. His lips had moved. I don't do that sign language stuff. Out now. Riley had pointed to her notebook. to her ears and made the gesture she'd made 1,000 times. I'm deaf. I can't hear you. I'm trying to communicate. Randy's lips again. Don't care. Bathrooms for customers. You want to use it, buy something. Riley had pulled out her money, $1.47. 2 weeks of collecting aluminum cans from dumpsters. 2 weeks of finding change in parking lots. 2 weeks of not eating lunch at school so she could save every penny. She'd pushed the coins across the counter, pointed to the menu board. Coffee. The cheapest thing, 99 cents. But a trucker sitting 3 stools down had moved his jacket away from her, like she was contagious, like poverty could transfer through proximity. His lips to Randy. Don't let these kids panhandle in here. Bad for business. Randy had pushed Riley's coins back. Sorry, kid. Policy. Not sorry enough to make eye contact. Riley had gathered her coins, put them back in her pocket, $1.47. Everything she had, she'd walked out. The security camera in the corner had captured it all. Riley leaving, shoulders hunched, head down, invisible. Rejection number 1248. 5:14 in the evening. The security guard found her on the public sidewalk, 20 feet from the truck stop entrance, sitting on the curb, writing in her notebook. Tom Withers, according to his badge, late 40s. Military posture gone soft, the kind of man who wore a uniform because it was the only authority he'd ever have. His hand grabbed Riley's arm, hard, fingers digging into flesh. The same arm that already had bruises from the last foster home. From the foster father who drank too much and grabbed too hard when Riley couldn't move fast enough. Couldn't understand his shouted orders through the fog of her deafness. Tom yanked her to her feet. His lips moved. Move along, you're loitering. Riley pulled out her notebook, wrote quickly, hands shaking from the pain in her arm. Public sidewalk, waiting for library at 6 p.m. I'm allowed here. Tom didn't read it, just yanked the notebook away, threw it on the ground. His lips, I said move. You deaf or stupid? Both, Riley wanted to write, but her notebook was on the ground, pages scattering in the February wind. Tom shoved her, hard. Riley stumbled backward. Her shoulder screamed. The same shoulder that had been wrenched 2 weeks ago when the foster father had dragged her out of bed at 5 in the morning because she'd slept through his alarm. She couldn't hear alarms. She'd tried to explain that. He hadn't cared. Tom shoved her again, toward the far edge of the parking lot, away from the truck stop, away from civilization. His lips, come back. I'm calling the cops. Understand? Riley understood. She understood that being 14 and deaf and homeless meant you had no rights, no protection, no voice. She understood that men like Tom Withers got to decide who belonged and who didn't, who deserved kindness and who deserved force. She understood that the bruise forming on her arm was evidence no one would ever look at. Riley gathered her notebook pages, hands shaking. Some of the pages had blown into a puddle. The ink ran, evidence dissolving. But the pages about Emma Sullivan were safe, still legible. Riley put them carefully back in the notebook, protected them. Rejection number 1249, 5:18 in the evening. The white church van pulled into the parking lot. First Baptist Outreach Ministry painted in cheerful blue letters on the side, cross decals on the windows, smiles painted on the faces of the cartoon children depicted on the rear doors. 2 women got out, 40s, matching shirts, the kind of people who volunteered on Tuesday evenings because it made them feel good about themselves, because they could go home afterward and tell their families they'd helped the less fortunate. One of them saw Riley, approached. Her lips, are you okay, sweetheart? Riley signed, the universal gesture for deaf. Then pulled out her notebook. Wrote, deaf, need help, men planning to kidnap girl, please. The 2 women looked at each other, the silent communication of the uncomfortable. The unspoken decision that this was too complicated, too much. The first woman's lips, he's one of those special needs kids. Riley was used to that. Short hair, baggy hoodie, androgynous features that made people default to male pronouns. She'd stopped correcting them months ago. It didn't matter what people called her. They didn't see her anyway. The second woman stepped closer, Her lips moved in the careful, over-enunciated way people used when they thought volume and clarity could overcome a language barrier. God has a plan for you, honey. Keep praying. Then they got back in the van. The engine started. Exhaust puffed white in the cold air. They drove away. Riley stood in the parking lot, alone, holding a notebook full of evidence about a kidnapping that would happen in 17 hours and 42 minutes. Evidence that church volunteers had just driven away from. Rejection number 1250, 5:23 in the evening. Riley sat back down on the curb, her whole body shook. Cold. Fear. The weight of knowing something terrible and being powerless to stop it. In her pocket, the notebook felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. 4 pages about Emma Sullivan. Names, timeline, vehicle description, exact words lip read through a truck stop window. Evidence. But evidence was worthless if no one looked at it. 1,250 rejections had taught Riley that lesson. Teachers didn't look. Foster families didn't look. Social workers didn't look. Police officers didn't look. Security guards didn't look. Church volunteers didn't look. Nobody looked at evidence from a deaf 14-year-old girl who'd been shuffled through 12 foster homes in 18 months, who'd run away from the last one 3 days ago because the foster father's hands had started wandering where they shouldn't. Nobody looked at girls like Riley. She pulled out the notebook. Read her own handwriting. Emma Sullivan, 11 years old, blonde braids, softball jacket number 12, 2 a.m. Route 40 rest stop, ghost daughter, $750,000, international contacts. Thursday morning, concealed transport. Somewhere in Clarksville, Emma Sullivan was at softball practice, probably laughing with teammates, probably warming up for drills, probably thinking about what her dad would bring her for dinner on the drive home, probably completely unaware that in 17 hours and 37 minutes, 2 men were going to take her, ransom her, sell her, make her disappear across international borders where her father would never find her. Riley closed the notebook. She could walk away, go to the library when it opened at 6, sleep in the bathroom like she had the last 3 nights. Wake up tomorrow and pretend she'd never seen anything through that truck stop window. Emma Sullivan would vanish. But it wouldn't be Riley's fault. She'd tried. 4 times. 4 rejections. What more could anyone expect? Her mother's voice cut through the thought. Evidence matters, baby. But evidence only mattered if someone looked at it. Riley stood up. She wasn't walking away. Somewhere in this world, there had to be one person who would listen. One person who would look at the evidence. One person who would believe that a deaf girl could see what everyone else missed. She just had to find them. 17 hours and 36 minutes. The clock was ticking. 6:04 in the evening, Riley walked back toward the parking lot, toward where the 2 men had been sitting. She'd been watching, memorizing, the way she memorized everything. Visual memory was survival for the deaf. You couldn't rely on sound to warn you. So you watched. You remembered. You cataloged details that hearing people missed. The white Chevy Silverado sat 3 rows back. Newer model, but something was off. Riley had grown up around her father's friends, firefighters who worked on their trucks in the driveway, who taught her to notice details. The license plates were too clean, too perfect. No road grime, no wear, stolen, Riley thought. Or fake. She wrote down the number anyway. TN-8847-K LP, but it was the vehicle parked next to the Silverado that made her stop. A Harley Davidson, big, black chrome gleaming even in the fading winter light. Leather saddlebags worn soft from use. The kind of motorcycle that wasn't just transportation. It was identity. And on the seat draped carefully a vest. Black leather, well-worn, patches on the back. Even from 10 feet away, Riley recognized the symbol. The winged skull. The rocker patches curved above and below. Hell's Angels. Tennessee chapter. A name patch on the front. Single word embroidered in white thread. Steel. Riley's brain connected pieces. Through the truck stop window, the calm man had said it. Rest of the MC doesn't hover during kids' stuff. MC Motorcycle Club. Ghost was in a motorcycle club. The same motorcycle club that had a member named Steele. Who was inside this truck? Stop right now. Probably finishing dinner. Riley looked at the Silverado, looked at the Harley, looked at her notebook. This was it. Not police. They'd already proven they didn't listen. Not social services. They'd been shuffling her through the system for 18 months without hearing a word she said. Not church volunteers. They'd just driven away. But a biker. A member of the same brotherhood as Emma's father. Someone who might actually care that a brother's daughter was in danger. Riley sat down on the curb, next to the motorcycle, careful not to touch it. She knew enough about motorcycle culture to know you didn't touch another man's bike. And she waited. Her entire body shook. Cold seeped through the thin hoodie, through her jeans, into her bones. But she waited, because this was either rejection number 1,251 coming, or this was the one person who might actually listen. 6:23 in the evening. The truck stop door opened. A man walked out, late 40s, tall, broad shoulders under a flannel shirt and heavy work jacket, beard trimmed neat, weathered face, the kind of man who worked with his hands, who fixed things for a living. He carried a to-go bag, grease spots already showing through the paper. Dinner, probably for a family waiting at home. He walked toward the Harley, saw Riley sitting on the curb. His lips moved. Kid, get away from my bike. Not hostile, just matter of fact. The way you'd tell someone they were standing in your space. Riley stood. Her legs barely held her. She'd been sitting in the cold too long. But she forced herself upright, held up her notebook, the page where she'd written in letters 2 inches tall, "Please read. Urgent. Hell's Angels." The man stopped. Something shifted in his face. Not quite belief, not yet, but curiosity, the willingness to look. He set down the to-go bag, took the notebook from Riley's hands. His eyes moved across the first page. "My name is Riley Mackenzie Hayes. I'm 14 and deaf. I read lips." He glanced up at her. Riley watched his face, saw him register her age, her size, the bruises visible on her wrist where Tom Withers had grabbed her. He looked back at the page. "I saw 2 men at table 7 planning to take a girl named Emma Sullivan at 2 a.m. tonight at Route 40 rest stop." The man's face went pale. His lips formed a single word. "What?" Riley flipped to the next page. Then the next. 4 pages of detailed notes, names, timeline, vehicle description, license plate, the exact words she'd lip-read through the window. The man read all of it. His jaw tightened. A muscle jumped in his cheek. His knuckles went white where he gripped the notebook. When he looked up, Riley saw something in his eyes she hadn't seen in 18 months. Belief, his lips. "How do you know Ghost?" Riley pointed to the notes. Flipped to the page where she'd written. They said, "Ghost's daughter. Hell's Angels. MC. Doesn't hover during kids' stuff." The man read it. Read it again. His lips. "You lip-read this through the window." Riley nodded, his lips. "The men who said this, they're inside now." Riley shook her head, pointed to the Silverado, wrote quickly on a blank page. "They left 20 minutes ago. White Chevy Silverado. Stolen plates, TN8847K, LP. I can identify their faces." The man looked at the Silverado, back at Riley's notes. He read the rest. His hands started shaking. "Blonde braids, softball jacket number 12, 2 a.m. Route 40 rest stop, ransom $250,000, but they'll move her anyway, international contacts. Thursday morning, concealed transport, $750,000 total profit." He looked up. His lips. "You wrote all this." Riley nodded. His lips. "You saw them say this, all of it?" Riley wrote, "I read their lips through the window. I wrote everything, word for word. I can identify both men. I saw their faces, one nervous leather jacket, one calm, cold eyes. Please believe me. No one ever believes me because I'm deaf, but I'm telling the truth." She wrote one more line. "They said 18 hours. That was at 5:47 p.m. Please help Emma." The man closed the notebook, but he didn't give it back. Instead, he pulled out his phone. Riley watched his face during the call, watched the urgency, the belief, the way his expression went hard and focused. At 6:27, he ended the call. Put the phone away, looked at Riley. His lips. "My name is Steele. I'm taking you to the clubhouse right now. Ghost is Emma's father. He's my brother. We're going to verify everything you wrote. And if it checks out, we're going to stop these men. All of us. Understand? Riley nodded. Steele's lips. Can you ride? Riley had never been on a motorcycle in her life, but she nodded anyway, because the alternative was letting Emma Sullivan disappear. Steele opened a saddlebag, pulled out a helmet, full face, too big for Riley by half, but he put it on her head anyway. Adjusted the strap with careful hands. Gentle hands. The kind of care Riley hadn't felt in 18 months. Her eyes stung. She blinked hard. Steele's lips. Hold on tight. We're going to get Emma home safe. You did good, kid. You did real good. Not maybe, not if, going to, like it was already done. Like Riley's evidence had already made the difference. 6:31 in the evening, the Harley's engine roared to life. Riley didn't hear it, but she felt it. The vibration through the seat, through her legs, through her entire body, like standing next to a thunderstorm, like touching lightning. They pulled out of the parking lot. Steele drove carefully, obeyed the speed limit, stopped at red lights, signaled his turns, because getting pulled over meant delays, and delays meant less time. Riley's hands gripped the back of Steele's jacket so tight her fingers cramped. Cold air rushed past the helmet. The world blurred. But for the first time in 18 months, Riley wasn't invisible. Someone had looked at her evidence. Someone had believed. Someone was doing something. 4.2 miles to the clubhouse. 16 hours and 41 minutes until Emma Sullivan was supposed to be taken. The counter in Riley's mind kept ticking, but now it was counting towards something instead of counting down to nothing. 6:40 in the evening, they pulled up to a single-story building, brick exterior, 15 motorcycles parked in neat rows out front. Sign over the door in bold letters, Hell's Angels, Tennessee. Chapter 7, Steele killed the engine, came around to help Riley off the bike, removed the helmet with the same gentle hands he'd used to put it on. His lips. My name is Callahan Brennan. Everyone calls me Steele. You're safe now, Riley. Whatever happens in there, you're safe. These are good men. They're going to help, I promise. Riley had stopped believing in promises 18 months ago, but she nodded anyway. Steele opened the door. Warm air rushed out. The smell of motor oil and leather, coffee and cigarettes, wood smoke from a fireplace somewhere in the back. The smell of men who lived by a code Riley didn't understand but desperately needed to trust. Inside, 12 men turned to look. Big men, tattooed men, intimidating men, the kind society taught you to fear, the kind that mothers pulled their children away from in parking lots. But Riley's brain knew. These men were Emma's only chance. 2 younger men stepped forward, early 20s, prospects Riley guessed. The newest members, still proving themselves. The first one's lips. Steele, what the hell? We don't bring civilians to the clubhouse. The second one pushed Riley. Not hard, but enough to make her stumble. The notebook fell from her hands. Pages scattered across the floor. Riley dropped to her knees, gathering papers. Her shoulder throbbed where Tom Withers had shoved her, where the foster father before him had grabbed her, where every authority figure who'd ever moved her along had left their mark. And now this, rejected again, even here. But then a voice cut through the room. Riley didn't hear it. She never heard anything. But she felt it. The way all the men suddenly went still. The way the air changed. The way presence filled a space. A man entered from a back room, late 30s, shorter than most of the others, but with something about him that made size irrelevant. Dark hair, sharp eyes, Marine Corps tattoo visible on his forearm. Vest patch road captain. This was Ghost, Emma's father. His lips. What's going on? Steele stepped forward. His lips. This kid says someone's planning to take Emma tonight. 2 a.m. All color drained from Ghost's face. The second prospect grabbed Riley's arm. The bruised one, pain shot through her shoulder like electricity. His lips. Get this kid out of here before air. But a hand clamped down on the prospect's wrist. Hard. The prospect's face went white. A third man, older, 50s, gray beard shot through with white, weathered face, vest patch, sergeant at arms. This was Hammer. His lips to the prospect. Everybody stop. Silence fell like a curtain. Hammer pulled Riley away from the prospect, gentle but firm. He looked at her face, really looked. The way adults used to look at her before she became invisible. his lips to Riley slow and clear. Can you hear me? Riley shook her head, pointed to her ears, then her eyes, then her lips, the gesture she'd made 1,000 times. I'm deaf. I read lips. I'm listening with my eyes. Understanding crossed Hammer's face. Not pity, not dismissal. Recognition. His lips, come with me. Riley gathered the scattered notebook pages, followed Hammer toward a back office. Steele and Ghost came too. The door closed behind them. 6:54 in the evening. 4 people in a quiet room. Hammer, Steele, Ghost, Riley. Hammer's lips, show me everything. Riley laid out the notebook pages on the desk, the sketches she'd drawn. 2 faces, one nervous, one calm. Surprisingly detailed for someone who'd only seen them through a window. But visual memory was survival for the deaf. You memorized faces, expressions, the exact shape of mouths forming words. Ghost picked up the pages. His hands shook. His lips, softball practice. Tuesday nights, Route 40 rest stop. That's where we always stop. How does this kid know that? Steele's lips, because she's telling the truth. Look at the detail, Ghost. Look at what she wrote. Ghost looked at Riley. His eyes were wet. His lips, who are you? Riley pulled out a blank page. Wrote in clear letters. Foster kid, orphan, deaf. Parents died in fire 18 months ago. No one listens to me. But I listen to everyone. I saw 2 men planning to take your daughter. I wrote everything they said. Please believe me. Ghost read it. Then he did something Riley hadn't expected. He knelt down, got on her level, eye to eye. His lips moved slowly, carefully, making sure she could read every word. If you're wrong, nothing happens. We check it out and you're still safe. If you're right, you just saved my daughter's life. Either way, you're safe here. You're not going back to wherever you came from until we know you're protected. He paused. His lips formed the next words with weight. If you're right about this, you're family. You understand family. Family. The word hit Riley like a physical blow. Family, a word she hadn't heard directed at her since the fire. Since her parents ran back into a burning house to save the neighbors. Since she'd stood on the lawn watching flames consume everything she'd ever known. Family. Riley's eyes filled with tears. She tried to blink them away. Failed. Ghost stood, turned to Hammer and Steele. His lips, 3 verification missions. Steele back to the truck stop. Get photos of these men if they're still there. Get vehicle confirmation. Hammer run facial recognition on these sketches. Get me names and backgrounds. I'm going to the softball field. I'm going to verify Emma's schedule and check for surveillance. Hammer's lips. What about the kid? Ghost looked at Riley. His lips. She stays here. Protected. Doc will keep an eye on her. She's our witness. And if this checks out, she just saved my daughter's life. That makes her family. That makes her one of ours. Steele picked up the sketch of the calm man, studied it. His lips, this level of detail, the timeline, the vehicle description. These aren't guesses. This kid saw something real. Hammer held up the page with the license plate number. His lips, TN8847K LP. We can verify this right now. Ghost's jaw tightened. His lips, then we move. Now. We have 16 hours. If this is real, we're calling a code black. Steele's lips, code black for real. Ghost's lips, for real. My daughter, a brother's kid. You're damn right we're going code black. He turned back to Riley, his lips. What's your name, kid? Riley wrote it down, held up the page. Riley Mackenzie Hayes, age 14, deaf since birth, orphaned 18 months ago. Foster care. I ran away 3 days ago. I have nowhere to go. But I saw what I saw. I wrote what I wrote. Please help, Emma. Ghost read it, nodded once. His lips, Riley. Thank you. Thank you for seeing. Thank you for not walking away. Thank you for being brave enough to tell someone, even after the world gave you every reason not to. He walked to the door, stopped, turned back. His lips, you're safe now, I promise. No matter what happens, you're safe. Then he was gone. Steele followed. Hammer paused at the door, his lips to Riley. You did good, real good. Takes a lot of courage to keep trying after being rejected. You should be proud. Then he left too. And Riley was alone in a quiet office in a Hells Angels clubhouse, surrounded by evidence someone had finally looked at. The door opened. A new man entered, late 50s, kind eyes, medical bag in hand, his lips, "I'm Doc. Real name's Patrick, but everyone calls me Doc. Used to be an army medic. Now I patch up these idiots when they do stupid things, which is often." He smiled, his lips. "Ghost told me to keep you company. Make sure you're okay. You hurt anywhere." Riley pulled up her sleeve, showed him the bruises on her arm, the fingerprint marks from Tom Withers, the older bruises underneath from the foster father. Doc's face went hard, his lips. "Who did this?" Riley wrote, "Security guard, today. Other marks from foster home I ran from 3 days ago." Doc read it. His lips moved in what Riley thought might be cursing, but he made it silent. His lips. "Anyone ever teach you that you deserve this? Anyone ever tell you that you brought this on yourself?" Riley nodded. Doc's lips. "They lied. You hear me? They lied. Nobody deserves this, especially not a kid. Especially not a kid who just saved another kid's life." He pulled out his medical bag, his lips. "I'm going to clean these up. Check for infection. Might sting a little. You tell me if it hurts too much." "Okay." Riley nodded. Doc worked gently. Careful hands. Antiseptic that Riley couldn't smell but could feel cooling on her skin. Bandages applied with precision. When he finished, he looked at Riley. His lips. "When's the last time you ate?" Riley wrote, "Yesterday morning, school breakfast." Doc's lips moved in more silent cursing. His lips. "Sit tight. I'll be right back." He returned 5 minutes later with a plate. Burger, fries, the real kind, not frozen. Steam rising. He set it in front of Riley. His lips. "Eat. All of it. Your skin and bones." Riley stared at the food. Doc's lips. "It's not charity, it's family. And family feeds each other. Now eat before it gets cold." Riley picked up the burger. It was the best thing she'd tasted in 18 months. The counter in her mind kept ticking. 16 hours and 6 minutes until 2 a.m. But for the first time since the fire, Riley wasn't alone. Someone had believed her. Someone had looked at her evidence. Someone had called her family. And somewhere in Clarksville, a girl named Emma Sullivan was finishing softball practice, completely unaware that a deaf 14-year-old she'd never met had just changed her entire life. Riley ate and waited and hoped that for once, just this once, the evidence would matter. 7:11 in the evening, the office door opened. Steele entered first, then Hammer, then Ghost. Riley looked up from the plate Doc had given her. Half the burger gone, most of the fries. The first real meal in 2 days. Ghost's face had changed. Paler, harder. The face of a man who just had his worst fear confirmed. Steele carried his phone, held it out for Riley to see. 2 photos, taken through the truck stop window. The same window Riley had looked through an hour ago. The nervous man in the leather jacket, hunched over coffee, hands still moving, still restless. The calm man with the cold eyes, leaning back in the booth, completely at ease. Steele's lips. "Are these the men?" Riley nodded, pointed to each photo, wrote in her notebook, "Left one is nervous, right one is calm, cold." "They're still there." Steele's lips. "They're still there. Silverado's still in the lot. Plates match exactly. TN-8847-KLP. Hammer stepped forward, held out a tablet, 2 faces on the screen. Mugshots, booking photos from law enforcement databases. His lips, facial recognition hit. Names confirmed. He pointed to the nervous man's photo. His lips, Victor Barnes, age 47, former private investigator. License revoked 2 years ago for ethics violations. Outstanding gambling debts. $480,000. Multiple creditors. Desperate for money. Hammer swiped to the second photo, the calm man. His lips, Carson Drake, age 38, prior conviction for human trafficking. Served 4 years in federal prison. Released on parole 8 months ago. Currently in violation of parole conditions. Known associates with international trafficking networks. Riley's stomach turned. Trafficking networks. She'd been right. This wasn't just a ransom plot. These men had done this before. Carson Drake had a record, had been caught, had served time, and now he was doing it again. Ghost's hands clenched into fists, his lips, and Emma Hammer's face softened. His lips, I went to the field, talked to Coach Martinez, asked if anyone had been watching practices. Ghost's lips and Harrison Hammer's lips. She said yes, man in a leather jacket, last 3 Tuesdays. Sitting in a car across the street, taking photos. She thought he was a parent, didn't think anything of it. 3 weeks. Victor Barnes had been watching Emma for 3 weeks, studying her schedule, learning the pattern, preparing. Ghost's voice must have been loud. Riley could tell by the way his whole body tensed, by the way veins stood out on his neck. His lips, they've been hunting my daughter for 3 weeks and nobody noticed. Hammer's lips, Ghost. Ghost turned away, slammed his hand against the wall. Riley felt the vibration through the floor. When he turned back, his eyes were wet. His lips, is Emma safe right now? Hammer's lips, practice ends in 12 minutes. I've got 2 prospects watching the field. They'll follow you home. Emma's safe, but we need to move fast. Ghost looked at Riley, his lips, you were right, about all of it. The names, the plan, the timeline, everything. Riley didn't know what to say, so she wrote, I'm sorry. Ghost read it. His lips, sorry you just saved my daughter's life. You have nothing to be sorry for. He knelt down, eye level again. His lips, listen to me, Riley. What happens next is going to seem scary. A lot of men, a lot of movement, a lot of planning, but you're safe. You're protected. And when this is over, we're going to make sure you have somewhere to go, somewhere safe, somewhere permanent. I promise you that. Okay, Riley nodded. Ghost stood, turned to Steel and Hammer, his lips code black. Call it in. Steel's lips, you sure code black is Ghost's lips, my daughter, a brother's kid. Code black. Now. Hammer pulled out his phone. Riley watched his lips move. Not to her, into the phone, but she could read some of it. Code black, child in danger. Emma Sullivan, Ghost's daughter. All brothers, converge on Clubhouse, now. Code black. Riley did not know what that meant, but she was about to find out. 8:47 in the evening. The clubhouse had transformed. What had been 12 men an hour ago was now over 50, and more kept arriving. Motorcycles rumbled into the parking lot. The vibrations shook the windows, shook the floor, shook Riley's chest like a second heartbeat. She sat in the corner of the main room, Doc next to her, watching. Men in leather vests filed in, all patches, all Brotherhood, Hell's Angels, Tennessee chapter, but from different parts of the state, Nashville, Chattanooga, Memphis, Knoxville, even smaller chapters Riley had never heard of. They came in 2s and 3s, some alone, some in packs, but they all came. Steele stood at the front, next to a whiteboard, marking numbers as reports came in. His lips to the room, Nashville chapter, 47 brothers en route. Numbers on the board, 47. His lips, Chattanooga, 31 confirmed. 31 added to the board. His lips, Memphis, 28 rolling. 28. His lips, Knoxville, 23. 23. His lips, local Clarksville, 27 already here. 27. Riley watched the numbers climb. Watched Steele's marker move across the board. Watched the total grow. 156. 156 men. For one girl. Doc leaned close, his lips. Code black is our highest emergency protocol. Started after a brother's daughter was kidnapped back in 2010. Took 3 days to find her. We were too slow, too disorganized. So we made a rule. Code black means child in danger. Every brother drops everything. Every chapter responds. We move as one, fast, organized, overwhelming force. Riley stared at the number on the board. 156. 156 men mobilizing for a girl most of them had never met, because she was one of theirs, because protecting your own wasn't optional. Doc's lips, you did this. You made this happen. Without you, Emma would be gone by morning, and we'd never find her. You understand? You saved her life. Riley looked at her hands, at the bandages Doc had wrapped around her wrists, at the evidence of every rejection, every dismissal, every time the world had decided she didn't matter. But tonight she'd mattered. Tonight, 156 men were proving it. 9:47 in the evening. The clubhouse was packed. Wall-to-wall leather vests. But the energy wasn't chaotic. It was focused. Military. Hammer stood at a pool table in the center of the room. A map of Clarksville spread across the green felt, marked with red circles. Routes, locations, timing. The room fell silent as he began. His lips, two targets, Victor Barnes and Carson Drake, both confirmed at Riverside Truck Plaza as of 20 minutes ago. Plan is to grab Emma Sullivan at 2 a.m. at Route 40 rest stop. We're not letting that happen. He pointed to the map. His lips, Team 1, Ghost plus 15 brothers. You pick up Emma now, early. Break the pattern these men have been watching. Take her home. Secure the house. 24-hour watch, rotating shifts. Nobody gets near that house. Nobody. Ghost nodded. 15 men around him nodded with him. Hammer pointed to a different spot on the map. His lips, Team 2, Steel plus 24 brothers. Stake out the truck stop. Visual confirmation on targets. Track when they move. Where they go. You're our eyes. Civilian vehicles. No colors showing. You blend in. Understood. Steele's lips, understood. 24 men behind him, all wearing jackets over their vests, hiding the patches, becoming invisible. Hammer's finger moved to Route 40 on the map. His lips, Team 3, my team. 31 brothers. We set the trap at Route 40 rest stop. We're in position by 2200 hours. 10 p.m., civilian vehicles. Scattered positions. We look like truckers taking mandatory rest breaks. We look like travelers getting coffee. We look like anything except what we are. The targets show up at 0200 like they plan. But Ghost won't be there. Emma won't be there. Just us, waiting. 31 men around Hammer, all nodding. His lips, Team 4, 85 brothers. Mobile response. You block every exit route within 10 miles of Route 40, every highway on-ramp, every back road, every possible escape path. The targets make a move they're boxed in. They try to run. They hit a wall of us. Clear, 85 voices Riley couldn't hear but could feel. The vibration of agreement. Hammer's lips, law enforcement is coordinated. Lieutenant Crawford Hall, Clarksville PD. He's MC friendly. His daughter was saved by this chapter 4 years ago. He remembers. He owes us. He's got 6 units on standby. We contain the targets. We document. We let the law do its job. We don't cross that line. Are we clear? No vigilante justice? No revenge. We do this right so it sticks. The room vibrated with agreement. Hammer looked across the faces. His lips, 156 brothers for one girl. Because she's ours. Because protecting kids is what separates men from monsters. Because we don't let evil win. Not tonight. Not ever. He paused. Then his lips moved toward where Riley sat. His lips, and we have a witness. Riley Mackenzie Hayes, 14 years old, deaf, orphaned, foster kid who's been rejected by everyone who should have protected her. But she saw something through a truck stop window. And she didn't walk away. She tried 4 times to get help. Got rejected 4 times, but she kept trying. And she ended up here with us. And now Emma's going to be safe because one kid refused to stay silent. Every man in the room turned to look at Riley, not with pity, with respect. Hammer's lips, she stays here with Doc and 4 brothers on guard duty. She's our witness, our evidence, and she's protected. Anyone tries to get to her, they go through us. Understood. 156 men nodding. Riley felt tears on her face. Couldn't stop them. Didn't try. Hammer's lips, teams deploy in 13 minutes. Ghost, get your daughter. Steel, track those targets. Everyone else, you know your assignments. We end this tonight. We end it clean. We end it legal. And we end it permanent. Those men spend the rest of their lives in prison, knowing a deaf kid outsmarted them. The room erupted, not in chaos, in motion, organized, efficient, military precision, teams forming, men grouping, assignments being confirmed. Doc's lips to Riley. Come on, let's get you somewhere quieter. He led her back to the office. 4 men followed. Guard detail. Riley sat in the same chair she'd sat in 2 hours ago, when she'd shown Ghost her notebook, when she'd been terrified no one would believe her. Now 156 men believed her. Now 156 men were moving to save Emma Sullivan, because Riley had refused to walk away. The counter in her mind kept ticking. 4 hours and 13 minutes until 2 a.m. But the countdown felt different now. Not counting toward disaster, counting toward justice. 10:07 in the evening. Riley sat with Doc in the office. The door open enough to hear, to feel what was happening in the clubhouse. Teams were deploying. Ghost's team left first. 16 motorcycles. Formation tight, professional. Heading to the softball field to pick up Emma early. To break the pattern Victor Barnes had been watching. Steele's team rolled out next. 25 bikes. But they split up in the parking lot. No formation. Scattered. Individual travelers heading to the same place from different directions. Blending in. Doc's lips. Steele's team is good at surveillance. Half of them are veterans. They know how to watch without being seen. Your targets won't know they're being followed. Riley wrote, "What happens if Victor and Carson leave before 2 a.m. from them?" Doc's lips. "Then we adjust. We're flexible. But based on what you heard, they're confident in their plan. They think they have Emma's schedule locked down. They'll stick to 2 a.m., they'll go to Route 40, and we'll be waiting." He paused, his lips. "You should try to rest. It's going to be a long night." Riley shook her head. Wrote, "Can't sleep. Too worried." Doc's lips. "About Emma," Riley wrote. "About everything. What if I missed something? What if I read their lips wrong? What if they changed the plan?" Doc read it. His lips. "You didn't miss anything. Your notes were perfect. Details you couldn't have known unless you saw them say it. The Silverado's plates, the exact timeline, Ghost's nickname, Emma's softball number. You were right about all of it. These men verified everything. You did good, Riley, real good." A knock on the door, one of the guard detail, young, early 20s. His lips to Doc. "Update from Steele's team. Target's still at truck stop, eating dinner. Silverado hasn't moved." Doc's lips. "Emma." The guard's lips. "Ghost just called in. Practice ended early. He picked her up at 1940. 7:40 p.m. She's home. 20 brothers on perimeter security. House is locked down." Doc looked at Riley. His lips. "Emma's safe. She's home. She's protected. Because of you." Riley closed her eyes. Emma Sullivan was safe. For now. But the night wasn't over. 11:34 in the evening. Riley dozed in the chair. Not real sleep, just exhaustion pulling her under for minutes at a time. She woke to Doc's hand on her shoulder. Gentle. Not grabbing, not forcing. His lips. "Update from Steele." Riley sat up, alert. Doc's lips. "The targets left the truck stop 11 minutes ago. Steele's team is following. 3 bikes rotating position so the targets never see the same headlights behind them. Professional tale. The targets are heading east on Route 40. Riley's heart pounded. Doc's lips. "It's happening exactly like you said. They're moving toward the rest stop, right on schedule." Riley wrote, "How long until they get there?" Doc checked his phone. His lips. "Hammer's team is already in position. They've been there since 2200, 10 p.m. The targets should arrive at the rest stop around 0100, 1 a.m. Then they'll wait, just like you heard them plan. Wait for Ghost and Emma to show up at 0200. But Ghost and Emma won't show. Just Hammer's team. And when the targets make their move, we've got them." Riley wrote, "What about the police?" Doc's lips. "Lieutenant Hall is parked 2 miles away. Out of sight, 6 patrol units. When Hammer gives the signal, they move in. We contain. They arrest, clean, legal, by the book." He paused, his lips. "You want to know something? In all my years with this club, I've never seen them move this fast. This organized. Code Black is serious, but this is different. This is personal. Ghost is one of the most respected brothers in the chapter. Former Marine, road captain, good father, good man. Someone threatening his daughter. That's not just Code Black. That's family. And family means everything. Riley understood. Family had meant everything to her once. Before the fire, before the system swallowed her whole. Maybe it could mean something again. 12:47 in the morning. Doc's phone buzzed. He read the screen. His lips, targets just pulled into a rest area 6 miles from Route 40. Engine running. Waiting. Riley wrote, waiting for what? Doc's lips, waiting for O200. Waiting for Ghost and Emma to show up at the rest stop. They're staging, getting ready. He looked at his watch, his lips 1 hour and 13 minutes. That's all the time they have left as free men. After that, they're done. Riley's hands shook. It was really happening. Everything she'd seen through that truck stop window, everything she'd written in her notebook, everything she'd risked rejection after rejection to report. It was all coming together. Doc's lips. You should know something. Ghost asked me to tell you after this is over, after the arrests, after everything's settled. He wants to talk to you about where you go from here, about options. Riley wrote options, Doc's lips. You ran from your last foster home 3 days ago. You can't go back there. The system will just shuffle you to another home, another placement that might not work out. Ghost doesn't want that for you, not after what you did, not after you saved his daughter. He paused. His lips. Steele and his wife have been foster parents for 6 years. 3 daughters, good home, good people. Ghost asked if they'd be willing to meet you, if you'd be willing to meet them. Riley stared. Doc's lips. No pressure, no decisions tonight. But after Emma's safe, after you've had time to process everything, maybe you could meet them, see if it's a fit, see if maybe you could have a real home, not just another placement, a real home. Riley's eyes filled with tears. She wrote, why would they want me? Doc read it. His lips, because you're brave, because you're smart, because you see things other people miss, because you matter. And because family isn't about blood, it's about who shows up when everything falls apart. You showed up for Emma. They want to show up for you. Riley couldn't write anymore. Her hands shook too hard. Doc just sat with her, quiet, present. 1 hour and 3 minutes until 2 a.m. 1 hour and 3 minutes until Emma Sullivan was supposed to be taken. 1 hour and 3 minutes until 156 men proved that evil doesn't win when good men stand together. 1:47 in the morning. Doc's phone buzzed again. He read it, looked at Riley. His lips, hammers in position, Route 40, rest stop. 31 brothers, 12 bikes hidden in the tree line. 8 brothers inside the rest stop building. 6 in semi-trucks parked in the commercial lot. 5 on the overpass with binoculars and radios. All in civilian clothes, all looking like regular travelers. The targets won't see them coming. Riley wrote, what about Ghost? Doc's lips. Ghost is driving to the rest stop now, but he's alone. Emma's safe at home. 20 brothers guarding her. Ghost is the bait. He'll pull into the rest stop, act like he's getting bombed, act like he's doing his normal Tuesday night routine. The targets will see him, they'll make their move, and that's when we get them. He checked his watch, his lips, 13 minutes. Ghost arrives at Route 40 in 13 minutes. Riley's stomach churned. Doc's lips. You okay? Riley wrote, scared. Doc's lips, me too. But scared is good. Scared means you care. And caring is what makes us human. Those men out there, Victor and Carson, they stopped caring a long time ago. They see kids as profit, as merchandise, but you saw a kid in danger and you risked everything to help her. That's the difference between people like you and people like them. 1:52 in the morning. Doc's phone buzzed. He answered, listened, looked at Riley. His lips. Ghost just pulled into Route 40 rest stop. He's parked, getting out of his truck, acting normal. Riley wrote, where are the targets? Doc listened to his phone, his lips still at the staging area 6 miles away. But Steele's team has eyes on them. They're getting ready to move. Pause. His lips. Victor just got in the driver's seat. Carson's in the passenger seat. They're carrying something. A bag. Riley's blood ran cold. The bag. Carson had set it through the truck stop window. She'd lip-read it. Equipment, sedatives, restraints. Everything needed to take a child. Doc's lips. The Silverado's moving. Heading toward Route 40. Steele's team is following. ETA 3 minutes. 3 minutes. 1:55 in the morning. Doc's phone was on speaker now. Riley couldn't hear it, but she watched Doc's face, watched his lips as he narrated what was happening. His lips, Silverado entering Route 40 rest stop, parking 40 feet from Ghost truck. Pause, his lips. Carson exiting passenger side, carrying the bag. Victor staying in driver's seat, engine running. Just like Riley had heard them plan. Driver ready for quick exit. Carson doing the actual grab. Doc's lips, Carson approaching Ghost. Walking casual, hands in pockets. Riley's heart hammered. Doc's lips, hammer just gave the signal. 1:55 and 47 seconds in the morning. What happened next took exactly 47 seconds. Riley would learn the details later. From Doc, from Steele, from Hammer, from the police reports and witness statements and security footage that would document every moment. But in that office, all she could do was watch Doc's face as he narrated. His lips, 31 brothers converging. From the building, from the tree line, from the semi-trucks, from the overpass. His lips, Carson down, 3 brothers on him, zip ties on wrists, bag secured. His lips, Victor trying to drive. But there's an 18-wheeler blocking the exit and a pickup truck behind him. He's boxed in. His lips, Victor running on foot. 4 brothers tackling him, face down, hands secured. His lips, total time, 47 seconds, 0 injuries, 0 property damage. Perfect execution. His lips, Lieutenant Hall moving in, 6 patrol units, brothers stepping back, evidence being transferred. His lips, both targets in custody. Doc looked at Riley. His lips, it's over. They got them, both of them. It's over. Riley's legs gave out. She slid from the chair to the floor. Not from fear, from relief. Emma Sullivan was safe. The men who planned to take her were in custody. And it was over. Doc knelt beside her. His lips, you did it, Riley. You saved her. 2:07 in the morning. The clubhouse door opened. Ghost walked in. Riley was still in the office, still on the floor. Doc had given her water, had wrapped a blanket around her shoulders, had let her shake and cry and process. Ghost came straight to the office, knelt in front of Riley. His face was wet, tears streaking through road dust. His lips, both arrested, Victor Barnes and Carson Drake. Charges are attempted abduction of a minor, conspiracy to traffic a child across state lines, federal charges. They were going away for a long time. He paused, his lips. We searched the Silverado, found Carson's bag, syringes, Rohypnol, enough sedative to knock out an adult for 36 hours. Would have kept an 11-year-old unconscious for 3 days. Zip ties, duct tape, chloroform. Everything they needed to take her and keep her quiet. Riley felt sick. Ghost's lips. We also found a laptop, Carson's laptop. FBI Cybercrimes is looking at it now. They think there might be more. More victims, more evidence. He took Riley's hands in his. His lips, Emma's home, safe. She doesn't even know what almost happened. She thinks practice got canceled because of weather. She's asleep in her room. 20 brothers outside keeping watch. But she's safe because of you. His lips, I need you to understand something, Riley. You saved my daughter's life. You saved my family. There's no way I can ever repay that. But I'm going to try, starting now. Starting with making sure you're safe too, making sure you have a home, a real home. Not the system, not another bad placement, a home. Riley couldn't stop crying. Ghost's lips, Steele and his wife Bethany want to meet you. Tomorrow, when you've had rest, when this is all less overwhelming. Just to talk, no pressure, no commitments, just to meet. Would that be okay? Riley nodded. Ghost smiled. His lips, good. Now Doc's going to take you to a safe place to sleep. Real bed, real room, lock on the inside of the door, not the outside. You'll be protected. And tomorrow we'll figure out next steps. Okay, Riley wrote in her notebook. Thank you for believing me. Ghost read it. His lips, thank you for not giving up. Thank you for trying one more time even after being rejected. Thank you for seeing what no one else saw. Thank you for being brave. He stood. His lips, get some rest, Riley. You earned it. 4:19 in the morning. Riley woke in a small bedroom. Clean sheets, soft pillow, window with curtains, door with a lock on the inside. Doc was asleep in a chair by the door, keeping watch. Riley's phone, a burner Doc had given her in case she needed anything, buzzed with a text from a number she didn't recognize. She opened it. Riley lay, "This is Hammer. FBI just cracked Carson's laptop. You need to see this. Come to the clubhouse when you wake up. Important." Riley got dressed. Same clothes as yesterday. Still dirty, still torn, but all she had. She walked to the clubhouse. 3 blocks. Doc walked with her. Inside, Ghost still and Hammer stood around a laptop. Their faces were pale. Hammer saw Riley, waved her over. His lips, "FB, I sent us the preliminary findings from Carson's laptop. You should know what you uncovered." He turned the laptop so Riley could see. A spreadsheet, names, ages, dates, prices, buyers. Riley read the first few lines. Maisie Whitmore, age 9, sold March 2023, $420,000. Colton Fletcher, age 7, sold July 2023, $380,000. Everly Jameson, age 10, sold November 2023, $510,000. The list continued. 14 names total, 14 children, 14 families destroyed. Hammer's lips, Carson Drake and Victor Barnes weren't just planning to take Emma. They've been doing this for 3 years. 14 children, $6.2 million in total payments, network spanning 7 states, buyers in 6 countries. Riley's hands shook. Hammer's lips, "FB, I launched Operation Safe Harbor this morning. Multi-state raids. 23 arrests across the trafficking network. And Riley, they've already recovered 9 of the 14 children, alive. Found them in warehouses, in residential facilities, in concealed locations. 9 kids coming home to their families. Because of the evidence on this laptop. Evidence we only have because you saw something through a truck stop window and refused to walk away." Riley stared at the screen. 14 children, 9 recovered, because she'd looked through a window, because she'd written in a notebook, because she'd tried one more time after being rejected 1,250 times. Ghost's lips, "You didn't just save Emma, you saved 14 families. You broke a trafficking network that's been operating for 3 years. You're a hero, Riley, a real hero." Riley shook her head, wrote in her notebook, "I just saw something. I just told someone." Steele's lips, "You did more than that. You kept trying when most people would have given up. You believed the evidence mattered even when the world told you it didn't. You refused to let Emma become number 15 on that list." He paused, his lips. "My wife Bethany wants to meet you this afternoon. If you're ready, just coffee, just talking, no pressure. But I think you two would get along, and our daughters are excited to meet you too. Sloane's 15. She knows ASL. Her best friend is deaf. She's been practicing so she can talk to you." Riley looked at these men, these bikers, these brothers. 24 hours ago, she'd been invisible, rejected, alone. Now she was surrounded by 156 men who called her family. Now she was the reason 9 children were coming home. Now she had a chance at something she hadn't had in 18 months. Hope. Riley wrote, "I'd like to meet them." Steele smiled, his lips, "Good, because they're already here." Bethany couldn't wait. The door opened. A woman walked in, early 40s, warm eyes, kind face. She signed as she spoke, her hands. "Hello, Riley, my name is Bethany. It's so good to meet you." Riley signed back. Her hands, "Hello, I'm Riley." Bethany's smile widened. Her hands, "I heard what you did. You're incredibly brave. Would you like to come and have coffee with me? Just us. We can talk, or just sit, whatever you're comfortable with." Riley looked at Ghost, at Steele, at Hammer, at Doc. They all nodded. Riley looked back at Bethany, signed, "Yes, I'd like that." As they walked out together, Riley looked back one more time, at the clubhouse full of men who'd believed her, at the laptop that proved she'd been right, at the evidence that had finally mattered. The counter in her mind had stopped. Emma Sullivan was safe. 14 children had a chance at coming home. Victor Barnes and Carson Drake were in custody, and Riley Mackenzie Hayes wasn't invisible anymore. She was seen. She was believed. She was family. Wednesday morning, 6:23 a.m. Riley woke in a room she didn't recognize. Clean sheets, soft pillow, sunlight filtering through curtains that actually worked. For 3 seconds, she didn't remember where she was. Then it came back. The truck stop, the notebook, steel, ghost, 156 men, Emma Sullivan's safe, Victor Barnes and Carson Drake in custody, evidence that had finally mattered. Riley sat up. Someone had left clothes on the chair by the bed, clean clothes, her size. A note on top in careful handwriting. From Bethany, thought you might want something fresh. No rush, come down when you're ready. Coffee and breakfast waiting. Riley dressed slowly. The clothes fit perfectly. Jeans without holes. A sweater that was actually warm. Socks that didn't have worn-through heels. She looked at herself in the mirror. Still the same face. Still 14. Still deaf. Still orphaned. But something had changed. She wasn't invisible anymore. Riley went downstairs. The Hayes house was warm. Comfortable. The kind of home that felt lived in without being messy. Photos on the walls, kids' artwork on the refrigerator, a dog sleeping in a patch of sunlight by the back door. Bethany was in the kitchen. She saw Riley and smiled. Her hand signed, "Good morning, did you sleep okay?" Riley signed back, "Yes, thank you for everything." Bethany's hands, "You're welcome." Hungry, Riley nodded. Bethany made pancakes, real ones, from scratch, not frozen, not charity breakfast at school, real food made by someone who cared whether Riley ate. While Riley ate, three girls appeared. The oldest signed in, "I'm Sloan, 15, this is Bryn, she's 10, and that's Quinn, she's 8. Riley signed, "I'm Riley, 14. Sloan sat down across from her. Her hands, "My best friend is deaf. She taught me ASL when we were 11. I'm not perfect, but I'm learning. If I sign something wrong, please tell me." Riley signed, "Your signing is good." Quinn pushed something across the table. A worn stuffed animal, a bear missing one eye. Her lips moved slowly. "His name is Patches. He helps when I'm scared. You can borrow him." Riley's eyes stung. She signed, "Thank you." The front door opened. Steele walked in, still wearing his vest from last night, looking exhausted. His lips to Bethany. "FBI called? They want Riley's statement this afternoon. Official testimony for the federal case. I told them she needs an ASL interpreter." Bethany's hands to Riley. "Is that okay? Do you feel ready?" Riley signed. "Will it help put them in prison?" Steele's lips. "It's the key to the whole case. Your eyewitness testimony combined with the laptop evidence. They're building an airtight case, but your statement is crucial." Riley signed, "Then I'll do it." Wednesday afternoon, 2:37 p.m., FBI field office in Nashville. A conference room with recording equipment. An ASL interpreter named Margaret, 56 years old. Kind eyes, patient hands. Federal prosecutor Angela Reeves sat across from Riley. 28 years in the district attorney's office. She'd seen everything. But when she looked at Riley, her expression softened. Her lips, "Riley, I'm going to ask you to tell me everything you saw through that truck stop window. Everything you lip-read. Take your time. Be as detailed as you can. This testimony will be part of the federal case against Victor Barnes and Carson Drake. Do you understand?" Riley signed. Margaret translated. "I understand." For the next 47 minutes, Riley told the story. She described the window, the clean glass, the perfect angle, the two men in the corner booth. Victor Barnes, nervous, restless hands, leather jacket, a man who'd gotten himself into something he couldn't handle. Carson Drake, calm, cold eyes, someone who'd done terrible things so many times they no longer registered as terrible. She repeated every word she'd lip-read. Emma Sullivan goes by M, 11 years old. Blonde braids, softball jacket number 12. Ghost daughter, only kid. Wife's been gone 3 years. Contacts offering $500,000, half up front. We take her tonight, 2 a.m. Route 40 rest stop. We text him the ransom demand, say $250. He pays because he's desperate. Then we move her anyway. 750 total. By the time he realizes she's not coming back, we're across state lines. Concealed transport, international contacts. Thursday morning. Angela Reeves listened, recorded, asked clarifying questions. When Riley finished, Angela was quiet for a long moment. Her lips, Riley, we had experts analyze your testimony, compare it to the evidence on Carson's laptop, the emails, the text messages, the transaction records. Your testimony matches with 92% accuracy. That's extraordinary. Riley signed it. I wrote it down immediately while it was fresh. My mother taught me to document everything. Angela's lips, your mother taught you well. This testimony, combined with the physical evidence, creates an overwhelming case. Victor Barnes and Carson Drake are going to prison for the rest of their lives because of you. Wednesday afternoon, 4:11 p.m. Riley sat in Angela's office. The formal testimony was done, but Angela had asked her to stay. Angela pulled up files on her computer. Her lips, there's something else you should know. She turned the screen toward Riley. A death certificate. Rebecca Holloway, age 39, died February 14th, 2021. Cause of death, complications from pneumonia. Angela's lips, Rebecca Holloway was Victor Barnes's ex-wife. She died 3 years ago. Victor collected a life insurance policy, $210,000. The policy was taken out 7 weeks before she died. She pulled up another document. Her lips, that timing raised flags. We requested exhumation. The body was exhumed yesterday. Modern toxicology found traces of a toxic substance, masked to look like pneumonia. Rebecca Holloway was murdered, poisoned by her ex-husband for insurance money. Riley's stomach turned. Angela's lips. Victor Barnes didn't just plan to traffic children. He killed his own wife for money. The murder charge will be tried at state level, but it completes the picture. This man saw human beings as dollar signs. And because you looked through a window and refused to stay silent, he's never going to hurt anyone again. Riley signed in, how many people saw something wrong and did nothing? Angela understood the question. Her lips, we've been investigating the systemic failures. Let me show you what we found. She pulled out witness statements. Her lips, Dorothy Patterson, lived next door to Victor Barnes, heard children screaming late at night, heard them go suddenly silent, never called police, said she didn't want to make assumptions. Riley's hands shook. Angela continued, one of those children was Colton Fletcher, 7 years old, missing from Nashville 14 months, found yesterday in a Chattanooga warehouse, alive. If Dorothy had called 6 months ago, Colton might have been home a year earlier. Another statement. Angela's lips, James Vickers, teacher at Lincoln Elementary, filed a report 14 months ago about Maisie Whitmore, 9 years old, bruises. He documented everything. CPS investigated, found nothing concerning. 3 weeks later, family moved. Maisie was sold, found yesterday in Kentucky. She lost 14 months because the system failed. Another file. Angela's lips, Helen Mills, CPS worker, did wellness checks. The house was clean, adults cooperative, but Maisie was never present. Helen accepted the excuse that she was at a friend's house, filed her report, family relocated. Angela's lips, Detective Ryan Cole. 3 weeks ago, anonymous tip about someone watching the softball field. He drove by. Oh, didn't see anything. Filed it as unfounded. Said he gets paranoid parent calls all the time. She closed the files, her lips, 4 failures. Neighbor heard but didn't call. Teacher reported but nothing happened. CPS investigated but accepted lies. Detective dismissed the tip, and 14 children were taken, until one deaf girl saw what the entire system missed. Riley signed, why didn't anyone believe them? Angela's lips, they tried within a broken system, understaffed, underfunded, overwhelmed, a system that teaches workers to check boxes instead of dig deeper. But that system is changing because of you. Friday morning, 10:02 a.m., Federal Courthouse. Riley sat in the gallery, Steele on one side, Ghost on the other, Bethany behind her. The Hayes girls scattered through the courtroom. Victor Barnes and Carson Drake sat at the defense table. Orange jumpsuits, shackles, public defenders who looked like they'd already lost. Federal prosecutor Angela Reeves stood. Her voice must have been strong. Riley watched faces react. The judge leaned forward, Angela's lips, "Your Honor, the United States requests that bail be denied for both defendants. They are extreme flight risks. They have demonstrated willingness to cross state and international borders. They are dangers to witnesses, specifically to a 14-year-old girl whose testimony is crucial. They have demonstrated a pattern of violence against minors, spanning 3 years in 7 states." She held up documents. Her lips, evidence shows they operated a trafficking network that moved 14 children for profit totaling $6.2 million. If released, they will disappear. More children will be at risk. Justice will be denied to 14 families. The defense attorney started to speak. The judge held up one hand. Silence. The judge was a woman, late 60s, former family court judge. She looked at Victor Barnes and Carson Drake with an expression that could freeze fire. Her lips, bail denied. Defendants held without bail pending trial. The gavel came down. Victor Barnes's face went white. Carson Drake remained expressionless. Riley exhaled. Ghost's hand found her shoulder. Squeezed gently. His lips, "They're not getting out. They're done." 6 months later, the trial. Riley testified again, this time in open court. ASL interpreter at her side. 47 minutes describing everything she'd seen through that window. The defense tried to discredit her. Defense attorney's lips. "How can we trust what a 14-year-old deaf girl thinks she saw?" Angela Reeves called expert witnesses. Lip reading specialists. They tested Riley, confirmed 92% accuracy in ideal conditions, 87% through glass, higher than most professionals. Then Angela presented the laptop evidence. 14 children, names, ages, dates, prices. Buyers in 6 countries. Transaction records, emails, everything Riley testified to confirmed. The jury deliberated 97 minutes. Verdict guilty on all counts. Victor Barnes, attempted abduction, conspiracy to traffic a minor across state lines, attempted extortion, 14 counts of conspiracy to traffic, murder in the first degree of Rebecca Holloway, insurance fraud, sentencing life without parole, federal and state charges consecutive, no parole possibility for 65 years. He was 47, he'd be 112. Carson Drake, attempted abduction, conspiracy to traffic a minor across state lines, 14 counts of trafficking, parole violations, prior conviction enhancement, sentencing life without parole, no parole for 40 years. He was 38, he'd be 78. The judge spoke before final sentencing. Her lips, "You preyed on children. You saw them as commodities, as products to buy and sell. You failed because a 14-year-old girl whose society overlooks every day saw you, saw everything, and refused to stay silent. A girl teachers dismissed. A girl the foster system shuffled. A girl security guards pushed around. That girl outsmarted you. And because of her, you will spend the rest of your lives in federal prison knowing a deaf child was smarter and braver than you ever were." Riley sat in the gallery, watched 2 men led away in shackles, watched justice served. Ghost's hand found hers. His lips, "It's over. They're never getting out. Emma's safe. You are safe. It's over." 3 months after the trial, Riley stood in the Hayes kitchen, morning light through windows, the smell of Bethany's coffee, 3 girls getting ready for school. This was home now, real home, not a placement, not temporary, not until the system decided to move her. Bethany and Steele had filed adoption papers 2 weeks after Riley moved in. Background checks, home studies, court appearances. Yesterday, the judge signed the final order. Riley Mackenzie Hayes was legally, permanently, forever part of the Hayes family. She had sisters now. Sloan, who taught her advanced ASL, Bryn, who shared her rock collection, Quinn, who'd given her the bear named Patches. She had parents now. Bethany, who signed Good Morning every day. Steele, who kept trying to learn ASL even though he got most signs wrong. She had a room, with a lock on the inside, with posters she'd chosen, with a window overlooking a backyard where a dog named Harley played. She had a family, not because of blood, because of choice. Riley's phone buzzed. Text from Ghost. Emma wants to know if you're coming to her game Saturday. She's pitching. Wants you in the stands. Riley smiled. Typed back, I'll be there. Emma Sullivan and Riley had become sisters. Emma learned ASL in 8 weeks. Now they hung out every weekend. Softball games, movie nights with subtitles. Emma's whole softball team learned basic signs. Good game, nice catch. You got this. Riley had started teaching lip reading classes twice a month. Law enforcement requested the training. FBI agents, local police, detectives. She taught them what her mother taught her. Watch the lips, not the eyes. Focus on word shape, not speed. Context matters. Facial expressions reveal lies. First class 17 officers. Third month 43. Word spread. The deaf girl who broke a trafficking ring was teaching skills the academy didn't cover. Riley also started trauma therapy. Twice a week with Dr. Sarah Chen, specialist in foster care survivors. The Hells Angels Health Fund covered every session. In therapy, Riley talked about the rejections, the fear, being invisible, the foster homes that didn't want her, the system that shuffled her, the night she ran away because the foster father's hands went where they shouldn't. Dr. Chen's lips in their last session. You were never invisible, Riley. The world just wasn't looking, but you made them look. That took courage most adults don't have. Session by session, Riley started to believe it. She'd been brave. She'd seen something terrible and refused to walk away. She'd tried after being rejected. She'd saved lives. She mattered. 1 year later, Riley's 15th birthday. The Hayes house was full. Steele's MC brothers, Ghost and Emma, Sloane's friends, Riley's therapist, Lieutenant Crawford Hall, Doc. The dining room table covered with food, chocolate cake with vanilla frosting, 15 candles. Everyone sang happy birthday. Riley couldn't hear it, but they signed it. 43 people signing in unison, hands moving synchronized. The most beautiful thing Riley had ever seen. After cake, Hammer stood up. The room went quiet. Riley felt the shift. Hammer's lips, Riley, come here. Riley walked to the front. Hammer held something behind his back. His lips, 1 year ago, you walked into our clubhouse with a story nobody wanted to believe. You'd been rejected by teachers, foster families, security guards, church volunteers. You'd been pushed around, dismissed, treated like you were invisible. He paused. His lips, but you weren't invisible. You saw everything. You saw 2 men planning to hurt one of ours, and you refused to walk away. You saved Emma. You saved 14 other children. You broke a trafficking network. You changed lives. He pulled out what he'd been holding. A leather vest, black, custom-sized. Hell's Angels patch on the back. Front patch, Eyes of the Brotherhood. Hammer's lips. You're too young to be a member, but you're not too young to be honored. This vest means your family. Protected. Every brother in Tennessee knows your name, knows what you did, knows you're one of ours. He held out the vest. Riley took it with shaking hands. Ghost stepped forward, pinned something to it. Riley looked down. Her sketch from that first night. Victor Barnes and Carson Drake, framed in leather, preserved under clear coating. Ghost's lips, so we never forget. So every brother who sees this knows. The girl who sees everything saved us all. Riley couldn't speak, couldn't sign, could only stand there holding a vest that meant she belonged. Emma hugged her, signed it, my hero. Sloane hugged her. Bethany cried. Steele put his hand on her shoulder and squeezed gently. Riley realized this was what family felt like. Not blood, not paperwork, but people who showed up, who believed, who protected, who refused to let you be invisible. 2 years later, Riley at 16, junior in high school, straight A's, honor roll every semester, living with the Hayes family. Legal adoption finalized 18 months ago. 3 sisters who signed fluently, Bethany and Steele as parents. Teaching lip reading to law enforcement. Paid position, saving for college. Accepted to Gallaudet University. Full scholarship, forensic linguistics program. Classes starting next fall. But first, she and Emma had a mission. They spoke at schools across Tennessee. deaf awareness presentations, trafficking prevention workshops, foster youth assemblies. Emma spoke out loud. Riley signed with an interpreter translating. But many schools had learned ASL for these presentations. Riley's message was always the same. Her hands signed, her lips moved. Being different isn't a disability, it's a different ability. I couldn't hear what those men said, but I saw everything. I saw their faces, their lips, their intentions, and because I saw 14 children came home. The world teaches us to overlook people who are different, but the people you overlook are often the ones seeing what you miss. I was rejected 1,252 times in 18 months by people who looked at my deafness and decided I had nothing to offer. But I had everything to offer: eyes that saw truth, a brain that remembered details, courage that refused to stay silent, and a brotherhood that believed me. Pay attention to the quiet kids, the ones in corners, the ones people ignore, because sometimes the kid everyone dismisses sees everything that matters. Students always ask questions. How did you stay brave? Riley's answer: I was terrified every second. But my mother used to tell me, you see things other people miss. That's a gift. Don't waste it. So I didn't. What if you'd been wrong? Riley's answer: being wrong was better than staying silent and being right. Better to look foolish than watch a child disappear. 2 years after that Tuesday night, February 2nd anniversary, the statistics told the story. 14 children recovered from the trafficking network, 12 alive and home with families. 2 had died before recovery, their names engraved on a memorial plaque at the Hells Angels clubhouse. Maisie Whitmore, Colton Fletcher, Everly Jameson, Wyatt Calloway, Harper Brennan, Beckett Walsh, Adeline Sterling, Knox Donovan, Sawyer McCoy, Rowan Fitzgerald, Sutton Gallagher, Griffin Ashford, Piper Lockwood, Dalton Merrick. 12 came home, 2 didn't. But 12 families were whole again because Riley refused to walk away. Policy changes implemented across Tennessee. Riley's Law. Mandatory interpreter services for deaf students in all public schools. Funding guaranteed. New CPS protocols. Solo interviews with minors. Mandatory follow-up visits within 30 days of any abuse report. Law enforcement training. 127 officers completed lip reading basics. Course taught by Riley. Hells Angels Watch Program. Monitoring at-risk youth in partnership with schools. 4 districts adopted guardian oversight programs. Foster care reform. Placement stability initiatives. Transfer rates reduced 43% because Riley's story exposed the failures. Showed what happened when the system shuffled kids instead of protecting them. Every February 2nd, Riley and Emma met at Riverside Truck Plaza, sat outside near the window, remembered the day everything changed, the day one girl refused to walk past evil, the day 156 bikers refused to let a warning be ignored. They sat on the curb, coffee and hot chocolate from the same truck stop that had rejected Riley 2 years ago. Randy, the clerk, had been fired 6 months later. New management, new policies, new understanding that everyone deserved dignity. A small plaque hung by the window now. Bronze, professionally made, mounted at eye level. In honor of Riley Mackenzie Hayes, who taught us that heroes don't always make noise. Sometimes they just pay attention. Riley and Emma sat in comfortable silence, signing occasionally, laughing about school, about Emma's softball season, about Riley's college plans, normal teenage things. Because Riley had given Emma the chance to have normal teenage things. Emma's hands signed, "Do you ever think about what would have happened if you'd walked away?" Riley's hands, "Every day." Emma's hands, "I'm glad you didn't." Riley's hands, "Me too." Steele pulled up on his Harley, Ghost right behind him. They'd come to pick up their daughters. But first they sat on the curb too. 4 people, 2 families, 1 story. Ghost lips to Riley. "You were rejected 1,252 times, and you still tried once more." "Why cool?" Riley signed. Steele translated. "Because my mother taught me that evidence matters, that seeing something wrong and doing nothing is being part of the problem. She taught me being deaf didn't make me less valuable. It made me different. And different people see different things the world needs to see. Ghost's lips, your mother was right, she'd be proud. Riley's eyes filled with tears, she knew it was true. Linda Hayes had died trying to save neighbors, had taught her daughter that helping others mattered more than personal safety, had given Riley a notebook and told her evidence matters. 18 months later, Riley had used that notebook to save 14 children. Her mother would have been proud. Steele's lips, ready to go home. Riley signed yes. She touched the plaque one more time, read the words. Riley climbed onto the back of Steele's Harley, put on the helmet he always kept for her, felt the engine roar to life. As they pulled away from the truck stop, she looked back one more time, at the window where she'd pressed her face 2 years ago, at the plaque that honored what she'd done, at Emma and Ghost following on their bike. The truck stop faded into the distance. But the lesson remained. Somewhere tonight, another child needed someone to see. Another window waited for someone brave enough to look through it. Another notebook waited to be filled with evidence that mattered. Riley's hand found the vest in her backpack, the one that said, "I was of the Brotherhood," the one that meant she belonged. She'd been rejected 1,252 times, but she'd tried 1,253, and that one last try had saved 14 lives. Steele accelerated onto the highway, heading home, heading toward a future built on the foundation of one terrible night when a deaf girl refused to walk away. Riley closed her eyes, felt the wind, felt the vibration of the engine, felt the weight of the vest that proved she mattered, and knew with absolute certainty that she would never be invisible again. Not because the world had changed, because she had changed the world, one window at a time.